Roger. Well, I did a film with Gino earlier on, a few years ago, and we went on a hike one day. We remained friends throughout the years, you know. We were on a hike one day, and he proposed this story to me, and I was like, wow, yeah, you again? But yeah, he had something going on, and it dealt with homelessness and PTSD and you know, teenage pregnancy and drug addiction, and had all these elements, and it struck a nerve. We was hiking up the hill, and I was like fucking sweating. I was like, what did you say? And I said, look, I'll keep going. So, you know, and yeah, and it went on from there. Make a long story short, that's how it was proposed to me anyways, you know.
Well, I didn't have to hike a hill, I'll tell you that much. There wasn't any hiking involved. I actually met Gino at a premiere for another film that actually Bill and I and Robert were all at. And after talking to Gino at the end of it, he came up to me and he said he might have a character that I might be interested in. And he gave me a quick breakdown on the military background and the PTSD, which I was always very interested in. I said, yeah, why not? Let's take a look at it. And next thing you know, a couple weeks later, we're all together shooting, and it was a great experience.
Yep, I got involved at the same premiere of a film at the Soho House, and we started talking about this film they wanted to make, and it just sounded interesting. It sounded lives coming together through a wristwatch, and I just thought it was cool. And just totally by coincidence, I had just made a film of my own about a guy obsessed with time, and so I was really just initially just really interested in the subject, and then the role of the doctor was a great one, and these guys were involved, and it just seemed great.
Hey, timing is everything, right?
No,
every time, because we were all there at this premiere. We just sort of met and started speaking on a business level, and then everything turned into a wonderful business relationship with all of us. But the wristwatch it deals on many aspects of homelessness and teenage pregnancy and addiction and supernatural effects and PTSD, which I can relate to that. I'm a veteran myself that's been diagnosed with PTSD, and I know the homeless the field very well. Hitting rock bottom myself, and then living in Los Angeles where the homeless situation is rampant. It's really sad. So it covers all elements, and then to work with great people like you guys, it was just an honor.
But I think that, thank you. I think that's the strength of the film, is that it's supernatural in what the wristwatch does to these different lives, but all the people involved were real, and I mean in the sense that they were all had some unique storyline that they were going through, and some
they could all relate to each other.
Exactly,
it was like boom, 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 boom. It was like it was blowing us away. The script was like, wow.
Yeah.
Totally feel it.
What were Gino and Devin like?
We're being filmed, right? So they're gonna see this. So yeah.
Let's keep it PG, I guess.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Unfiltered.
No, they were awesome to work with, and really, and it's just, I mean, in the true independent spirit, I mean, they were doing everything. We had they were the crew basically. We had a small crew. But it was. I just love, you can feel the minute you get to a set when they're just passionate about trying to do something good, and I think both these guys just wanted to make a great film, and it wasn't just to make a film, but make a film that they thought would really have some meaning to it, and have that people would really enjoy, and All right, what do you have?
Yeah, no, absolutely. They definitely knew what they were looking for. I mean, I've worked with Gino before on a previous film called Heavy Metal Strawberry Pickers, and
very different film.
Yeah, it was. We pushed the envelope on that one. It was funny. We got great response to it. It was a great experience. I mean, we laughed for like a week in the strawberry field. It was nuts. So when I watched Gino grow as a filmmaker, and then collaborate with Devin, who has like more patience than Jesus. It's like this guy is like, you can be on there like 21 hours without a bat of an eye. And he's like, what's going on? We got it, man. He had so much patience, and they collaborated so well. And as the days grew on, the more we filmed, the greater it got. Like they just understood each other, and they could just feed. One would give an opinion, the other would go, yeah, we got it, let's try it, shoot it, boom, boom. There was no waste of time. It was just a professional shoot, and like I said, they knew what they were looking for, and it was very interesting. Yeah, amazing. What do you think, Pat?
I mean, great overall experience. There were times where I loved Gino. There were times where I was like, Gino, if you say again one more time, I might kill you.
Yeah, like 1:30 in the morning.
Real life. I remember in particular, Bill, it was actually a scene you and I did. It was actually a very pivotal scene for my character, and I think his character as well. And it was a long scene, a lot of dialogue, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of action. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but there was one point where Gino said he was going to take a shot from way up in the sky. And however he was going to get up on top of a truck or a car. And I said, this guy's got to be out of his mind. But I think I think it's a testament to Gino's drive. And the guy really stretched 10 cents to go above and beyond $1.
Yeah, he made it happen.
And what he did with his resources and maximized everything was just amazing. And as for Devin, I mean, I guess you'll see the footage and how he really brings things to life with the
he was
supernatural.
like, I'll sleep when I die. This
Oh,
dude
my
was like,
goodness.
let's go. And Gino was like, let's do this. And everybody was like, well, wait a second, how are you going to do that? And he goes, trust me. Like you said, he stretched like a dime into $1, and like the dude was up on cranes.
But it was great. I mean, it really pushed the limits as an actor. Really pushed me outside my comfort zone, which is great because I think, when you step outside your comfort zone, oftentimes you can achieve great things. And he's there to kind of push that, as well as the other cast members. I think we all held each other accountable, but it was also a safe environment where everyone felt pretty comfortable. So.
Yeah,
Just overall, just such a great project to work on.
You see these things, and filmmakers with limited resources, limited budget. We all know the limitations, but I think it's kind of like both these guys, and hopefully all three of us are saying. I think when people are passionate about it, and that's infectious, and I think that made all of us want to do things and try to make this film that you all will enjoy. And it's. I really did think, and I was surprised at some of the shots we were able to pull off between what Devin had equipment-wise and what Gino and Devin were willing to try. We've got some pretty cool locations and some cool, I think, interesting effects and interesting things that hopefully make the film all that more enjoyable.
Yeah, well, having you on board sure helped out, man. We're blessed to have you on board. Yeah, you were like a key saving factor on some of the the bumps we hit along the way, because it wasn't an easy task. We did all this work, and it was like, now we were learning along the way, and then got somebody like you who's got like mega experience, who just come in and taught us so much, and Gino just took notice and listened, and you guys collaborated on such a great business level to make things happen that probably wouldn't have happened if he wasn't on board, man. We're so grateful to have you on board. Really. It was awesome to work with you.
Thanks, man.
Nice.
As of you too, Pat.
Thanks,
Amazing.
buddy.
Yeah.
I'm no big deal. Don't worry.
Come on, you're the soldier with PTSD, man.
Thanks for coming, sport.
Hi, I'm Robert Peters, and I'm playing the role of Dr. Phillips in the Wristwatch, and it's a great role. He's someone who's going through really difficult times, and he chooses to have alcohol and pills be kind of his way of numbing the pain, and it's really difficult. His greatest challenge is that his wife of 22 years is dying of cancer, and so he really, on a daily basis, is battling being professional in his workplace and just trying to get through the day. And additionally, his niece is pregnant, and it's kind of a bad situation. And he's trying to, in some ways, be sensitive to that. But I think the sadness and the anger at life and the cards he's been dealt with his wife have just made it very difficult to keep a positive outlook. And it was a great role for me. I mean, it's fun always to play a doctor. It just is. But to play a doctor that you really see the human side of, Because to me, sometimes, often doctors, I forget that they have lives. When I go to the doctor, you forget sometimes what they may be going through themselves, and all you care about is yourself when you go to a doctor. But you learn quickly that they have lives, and who knows what's going on at home. And in this case, you're seeing firsthand that this guy is dealing with the biggest issues we have, which is losing the most important person in your life, which is his wife. And then in the film, my character, as with these guys, their lives cross, and this wristwatch becomes a catalyst for possible change with the doctor, and that was interesting to me, and that's I think it's kind of presented in sort of a supernatural way, but I think to me there's something very personal too about a wristwatch, and there's something very maybe it's because it's most people wear wristwatches, and I think it kind of maybe, at least on a subliminal level, talks about time, and the time that we all have left, and the time that and just things that influence and within certain frames of time. I think any time you play a role and really try to invest, yourself personally, it's going to have an effect on you. Sometimes it's hard to answer that question, but I will say I've had family that have dealt with alcoholism, and I've had family that have dealt with prescription drugs and addiction, and so that's certainly, you take that in, and you certainly relate that to your own life, and so yeah, I would say yeah, and again, I would say also it affected me personally in that where you try to find, wherever that's going to be, when you try to turn the negative in your life to a positive, and however that may happen, we all hope and pray for something to help that along, but sometimes it's still a matter of you saying, all right, I'm gonna look at this in a different way.
I'm Pat Fitz, and I played the role of Brandon in the feature film The Wristwatch. Well, let's talk about the character, and there is a lot to talk about with Brandon. I think you can certainly relate to him on a lot of levels. He's a soldier, a brother, a son, a friend, just like any other guy out there. But he has a lot of issues, and a lot of them are related to the things he went through while he was at war. And I think it's a lot of the same issues that some of our troops are coming back with today, and some that already have from previous wars. He suffers from what's called PTSD. I'm sure many of you know it out there. And it's certainly an issue that I don't think is touched on enough here. There are some films that try to portray people with PTSD. There's some stuff in the media. But in terms of actually helping our troops and dealing with this issue, I really don't think we're doing enough. Brandon he's all over the place. He's a gentle guy in a lot of ways, but he has a lot of built-up rage. And a lot of this has to do with stuff that he had to do overseas. Some of it has to do with family issues. Again, I don't want to give you any spoilers. And a lot of it has to do with his trouble with intimacy. There's a lot of layers to this guy. He's definitely a likable guy, and as you can see while he goes through the transformation in the wristwatch, where he just is himself. And it's like, wow, where did this breath of fresh air pop out of? And you're like, you know what, that's him. Submerging myself into the character of Brandon was certainly one of the toughest jobs I've had to do. To give a thoughtful and insightful and honest representation of the character and what the character goes through, I certainly had to bring myself to a place that I was afraid to go to. And I can remember moments while filming, while not filming, where I really dug into some stuff that I haven't dealt with in a long time. And some stuff that, I didn't know about myself. So it was a very difficult character to play, but I'm really glad that I went there. And I hope I gave a good representation of the character.
My name is Bill Porter. I I play the character Jerry the bum, that is, you know. And let me see, it's an interesting character. It's a different role for me. It was a transition role. We go from a homeless man, you know, into the deep underground, under the bridge of Los Angeles, and I did a lot of research on this character, months long to research with the writer Gino. We would take hikes on a Sunday or a Saturday morning, and then from there we'd go underground and hang out under the tunnels and under the bridges and talk to homeless people and see what it really was like to be homeless. And the character really struck a nerve with me because I can experience firsthand through PTSD, you know, Patrick, who played the soldier with PTSD, and homelessness, you know, and how rampant homelessness is in LA. So we did a lot of research on that, months and months of research. The more and more research I did and hanging out, you know, and talking personally with homeless people, one day Gino said to me, I think this role is gonna take a personal effect on you. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So, you know, but I took that in perspective. I listened to it, and it was, I think it was like the second day after I had done filming, I went into a store and I turned to my left and there was a homeless lady standing right next to me with her hand out asking for help. And I was like, wow. And she looked like Jerry the Bum's wife. It was kind of weird. It was like really, it was a surreal moment. So yeah, reached in, took a fin out of my pocket and gave it to her, but it stuck me, you know, and I was like, wow, this is really, the real struggle of homelessness and to be a person. And, you know, Jerry was a man, he was at one point a successful engineer who just gave up on life and decided to just give up on responsibilities in society and just live on the streets, you know, and didn't care anymore. Lost faith in his family, lost contact with everybody, and just had no more interest in life, pretty much. And there was one point when I was on, you know, in a scene, and I was eating out of a trash can, and I don't want to, you know, spoil the moment, but I was eating a sandwich, and I looked up, and there was a guy sitting in a red light, and he looked at me, and he was like, what the fuck? And that's when I really started to feel the character, how it felt to be homeless. I was eating out of a trash can. Somebody looked at me and it just, I felt it, you know, and it took me for a loop. And from then on, it was, it was deep. I jumped 2 feet in with that, and I really felt like Jerry the Bum. You know, it really did make an impact on me. I drove down up in town sometimes, you know, in the homeless areas, maybe on Skid Row, and was like, I'm looking at 1,200 tents. I'm like, what the fuck? This is America? This is really going on? And when you see homeless people out there like struggling, hungry, and sweating, and like one morning a guy walked up with a bottle of orange juice here. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I just needed to get a drink. Can you help me out? I go, yeah. You want, you know, so. The homeless situation, PTSD, teenage pregnancy, addiction, that whole element just, it struck a nerve on me because I've been through a lot of that myself, you know, and it was an honor to be able to bring that paper character to life. It really was, yeah, sure.
Well,
But,
you had to grow a beard.
I had to grow a beard. I didn't shave for like
Some
months.
friends hated it.
I had to shave for months. And I kept calling him going, oh, dude, I can't do it. I can't do it. This is crazy. He was like, no, you know, and I just stuck it out. And after a while, when you study and you're looking at footage of, you know, the homelessness in Los Angeles, you know, you just, I don't know, you jump 2 feet into the car, you become that person. I became that person. I literally became that person. Especially eating out of the fucking trash cans, man. I was like, whoa. The dude with the red light looked at me, and all you see was, I went, whoa. You know? And then one scene in the pawn shop, I go, Gino, this is all set, right? He goes, no. I goes, what do you mean no? He goes, will you come in here with me, please? Dude, the place was full. It was a Saturday morning. We go in the pawn shop. Everybody's doing business. I walk in like Raggedy Andy with a Timex, and everybody turned around and they went, what the fuck is this? And I was like, I'll just be 1 minute. And I ran out the door, and we didn't get the shot. It was like 3 takes. The security guard wanted to kill me. I was like, oh my God. But we got it done, and yeah, I felt like Raggedy Andy. But it was genius, man. The writing was phenomenal. The character was just like, transition characters. My first time as a lead in transition, it was something else, because you go from one person to another, and that was an experience I'll never forget. Yeah, because I can relate to it all pretty much. PTSD, homelessness, drug addiction, and
Yeah, and I think like the characters in general, they each have an issue, okay? And there's different ways to deal with an issue. You can let it kind of take over who you are and really get into that poor me, or maybe just quit in general.
yeah, right.
Because we all, I think this is where people can really relate to on any level, regardless if you relate to Jerry the Bum or the doctor or the soldier or whoever it is. We all go through issues. It's life. Nothing you can do about it. And we all have big issues that come up, and maybe, very memorable ones. Maybe there's 1, maybe there's 2, maybe there's 3. And when you're hit with that issue, you got to ask yourself, what are you going to do now? Are you going to let this thing be the end of me? Are you going to let this thing have me detached from what I know, my family, my friends, my job? Are you going to let me eat it alive and become the dominant thing in my life? Or are you going to say, no, I know who I am, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to continue on.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Decisions, man. Decisions. It's all about,
Some people have a hard time finding anyone in their life or the inner strength and succumb to suicide.
Yeah, especially with
Dr.
like a
Phillips
doctor, a
is
professional,
kind of going that dark.
Yeah.
He's in that dark of a place.
a doctor with PTSD, a soldier. A soldier with PTSD, a doctor with drug addiction, and a guy who's a successful engineer gives up on life and just.
Yeah.
That's reality. It happens all day, every day in life, and
Absolutely. No, I think that's obviously the darkest answer to your problem. And I think it seems like part of the time we were shooting was when Robin Williams, took his own life, and I think, everybody weighs in on what led to that, or on anybody. I've obviously, not obviously, but most of us at some point in life have friends or family that sadly have taken their own lives, or that we know someone, and certainly Robin Williams most recently was a big one. But I think with anybody's problems, it is how you get through that, and what is going to be like Pat was saying. It is definitely a choice with that person, but it's also in life how some things can lead to that. And I think that's the kind of cool thing about this film potentially, is that these lives intertwine. These people aren't close. Some of them don't know each other, have never met, and so yet still there's an influence. And for whatever reason, they've chosen these people, and at some point he chooses me to help. I've helped him, but it's also something, I don't know. It's just I think it also, I guess, leads to the idea that you can be a stranger with someone and get them through a suicidal moment.
Right. Be of service, help somebody.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
Always reach out, help somebody that's in need.
And you never know what the turning point might be.
Right. And the thing, never look down on anybody unless you're helping them up.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely. I mean, and it can sound cliche, but it's the what is it
reality
about the the stranger can be an angel or whatever, but it's really true, and especially like you're saying in the homeless world.
That struck a nerve on me. I was like, you live in Hollywood, live in Hollywood, and I walk over you walk over people that are homeless. They're laid out in the street, and you're like, wow, this is America. This is like, you go down Skid Row and there's 1,700 tents. Homelessness is rampant.
Yeah.
PTSD is rampant. We get 22 soldiers a day committing suicide. Drug addiction, prescription drug addiction, whether it's a doctor or it's a patient or it's a soldier, that's rampant. Teenage pregnancy is rampant. This movie hits every single aspect of what's important today and how we can fix it, how we can make it better, and the reality of life. Period.
And just and what Robert was saying too about kind of people helping people, and sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger. We all know who we are, and then we all have this kind of expectation to live up to in the way that other people see us.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes our pride gets in the way.
Yeah.
Our ego gets in the way, and they say, you know what, I can't struggle. I have to be this guy. I have to be the lawyer. I have to be the doctor. I have to be the soldier. But guess what? No matter who you are, we're all going through something. And I think that's a really major important part of this is not only people helping people, but us, let your guard down, and we're all going through something. It's fine. And the more that you understand that, the more that you understand that you're not alone.
And I think it touches on fate. It touches on whether things are coincidences or whether they, again, I feel like I'm saying things we always hear, but the meant to be thing. People often say, well, this is meant to be, or this was destiny, or this was fate. But whatever your beliefs are on that, I think it is often worth thinking about it and worth saying, hey, this person came into my life at this time, at this exact moment, at this, with this exact need, and this turned me around. So whatever you want to think, whether it's fate or whatever, I think it's an interesting, thing to consider.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
My name is Kelsey C. Magel, and I play the character Rory. She is a 19-year-old girl who ends up finding out she is pregnant, unfortunately by a one-night stand. And pretty much her world is kind of upside down after that. Hasn't been the best before, but now it's even worse. So she finds a lot of interesting people along the way and kind of helps her turn her life right side up. When I first got the script, it affected me pretty profoundly because I grew up without a father, as does Rory. And so I just kind of had to go into those memories, those deep, dark memories that people, hide away, and have to really relive them. Not wanting to, but needing to bring Rory to life. Shooting the way we did is going like a couple weeks without shooting a scene, or doing a couple days and going back and forth with other projects in between was a little challenging. But I think as an actress, you have to really, with the character development, and know your script inside and out, and know exactly what you're doing in the moment, and go with it. And sometimes it's okay to bring, other characters you've got into the mix, So doing other projects in between was it was challenging, but it was also very, rewarding. Devin and Gino were amazing to work with. I've worked with a lot of, directors who are very hands-on, and Gino's very hands-on. And the one thing I loved about working with them is they gave each other ideas and points of views and ways to see, how they saw the project going, and never fought about it. They always, took each other's ideas into consideration. So that was really nice.